In this video, I've got a super quick warm-up designed to help you reduce the risk of injuries and perform your best during your run, especially as a female runner over the age of 45. We'll focus on dynamic movements to get your muscles ready to move and increase your heart rate, as well as prime your tendons, ligaments, and other muscles for running. So stick around, because I've got a bonus exercise for those of you who struggle with tight hips that is literally a game changer. Let's jump right in. I've got Nikita here with me to help me demonstrate. As I said, this routine is perfect for preparing your body to run while reducing your risk of injuries. In terms of reps for each warm-up, gauge how you are feeling. If you're stiff, then spend more time there. There's no hard and fast rule. It's all about priming your muscles and getting blood flow to those muscles and improving your mobility so that you can move more efficiently. Let's start with leg swings to loosen up the hip girdle, your hip flexors, your glutes, and your hamstrings. You can hold onto something for balance, whether your partner or a wall, and you're going to keep your torso upright, swinging your leg forwards and backwards in a repetitive motion. Here, you want to ensure that your hips are facing forwards. Otherwise, what tends to happen is that your hips rotate slightly outwards, and then we're really putting a little bit of strain on the lower back. Let's look at it from a side view. Here, you can see torso straight and upright. You don't want to be leaning forward, nice, or leaning too far back. The focus here is on the hip flexors at the front and the hamstring at the back, keeping the leg straight. If you bend the leg, you're getting a little bit more of the quads. Leg swings are not only important for getting blood flow to the muscles, but also for ensuring mobility for a long and powerful stride. Now that we've loosened up the hip girdle, hip flexors, and hamstrings, let's move on to loosening the glutes. The glutes are vital for ensuring power and stability while running. And remember, stay tuned for that bonus exercise coming up soon. Next, let's warm up your glutes with this dynamic stretch. So Nikita, if you need to balance on me, you can. What you're going to do is you're going to try and create a figure of 4 with your body. There we go. Ideally, you don't want your knee coming up. So if it's up here, make sure that you push it down with your hand. From there, you're then going to squat on that single leg, feeling a bit of the glute stretch. Hold for 2 to 3 seconds, then come up and alternate onto the other side. Again, down into that squat for 2 to 3 seconds and up to the other side. Try not to hold it for too long, because then that becomes a static stretch. If you struggle with sore knees, what you can do is just grab your leg with your other hand, pushing the knee away from your chest as a stretch. Hold it for 2 to 3 seconds and alternate to the other side. Your glutes are super important for powering your run. So it's really, really key that we get them firing early. Most runners also tend to have very tight glutes. So we want to mobilize them a little bit so that they are ready and primed for your running. Now that your glutes are warmed up, we're going to go into a few mobility exercises. But first, that bonus that I mentioned earlier. We are going to do an isolated hamstring dynamic stretch. Hamstrings are also vital for powering through your running as well. So Nikita, what you're going to do is face me. You're going to put one foot out, so on your heel, your toe facing up to the ceiling. From there, you're going to use both hands and you're going to scoop the ground as low as you can go. That's it. You can do it a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. The key here is to not bend your knee. Try and keep that leg as straight as you can, even if you don't touch the ground. It is key that we alternate right and left. So once you've done the right, alternate onto the left. That's it. Stand up, alternate. That is key because we want to ensure a full contraction and elongation of the hamstring muscle. With each rep, try and go a little bit lower and a little bit lower, ensuring again that we're keeping this knee straight. Next, we are going to focus on hip mobility. The key with this is getting loose enough hips so that we can have a really big stride and allow some power to come through that stride. So Nikita, what you're going to do is you are going to sit on this mat for us. There we go. All right, have a seat for me, facing me. Make sure that your feet are slightly wider than your hips. Okay, Very important is that your posture is upright. If you're sitting slightly bent, just put your fingertips behind you to make sure that you're sitting up nice and straight. If you can sit up straight like Nikita, you can have your hands up here in front of you. What you're then going to do, and we're going to keep the side angle first, is we're going to drop our knees gently and slowly to the side. Very importantly, keeping your bum bones on the mat. So come back up to this side and drop down to the side. Don't lift that bum bone. So just exaggerate that movement for me. So you don't want to be lifting that bone up. Come back up and we just drop back down to the side. That's it. Slow and controlled is better. There we go. From the front angle, so you can see, so Nikita just turn to the side for me. You want your feet, again, as a reminder, wider than your hips, so slightly wider there. That's it. All right. And gently dropping your knees down. You can see that is Nikita's range there. If she goes any further, she lifts up her bum off the ground. That is okay. Just ensure that we are keeping those bum bones down. All right. You want to try and ensure it's a fluid movement. So we're not just dropping side to side, but we're also not jerking back and forth. There we go. If you feel like you need a little bit more range, you can widen your hips a little bit. Nikita needs to do a few more of these. There we go. That's a good one. So you can see that her knee almost lands up behind her heel. Good hip mobility allows for increased stabilization. And if we don't have that mobility, we tend to compensate in other areas, in particular, the lower back. And so let's move into spine rotations. So Nikita, what you're going to do is lie flat on your back. Just come to the edge of the mat there. Put your arms out to the side. It's key here that your shoulders are touching the ground the whole time. Put your knees and your feet together for me. And then from here, we gently, slowly and controlled are going to drop both your knees and your feet to the one side. You will feel that in your lower back. Again, ensuring that those shoulders are flat against the ground. Bringing both legs up and to the other side as well. Feeling that in the lower back, yes? Coming back up. Again, fluid movement. But what a lot of people tend to do here is they tend to just drop and lift, drop and lift. Ensure it is a controlled movement, keeping the knees and the feet together. Now that we've loosened up your hips and your spine, let's shift focus to the calves and the ankles, which is really going to help with the stability for your running. And believe it or not, it's also actually going to help your squatting technique. Good ankle mobility is key for an efficient running gait. Your ability to bring your foot through your stride before you plant it down again relies on good ankle mobility, in particular, good dorsiflexion, which is when you lift your toes up. So what we're going to do is you are going to kneel on one leg. If you're struggling with a bit of knee pain, prop a cushion under your knee for a bit of extra support. Preferably do this exercise barefoot. So leaning forward, you're going to bring your knee over your toes. Very importantly, keeping your heel flat on the ground. So just rocking back and forth over the toes. That's it. This is probably one of the only times I'm happy that your knee comes over your toes. Really feeling and working it within your limitations. You're going to do 5 to 10 reps like that. Then what we want to do is we want to give it a little bit of weight. So Nikita, what you're going to do is you're going to rest your arm, just go back into position, there we go, not on your knee, rest your arm on your thigh, otherwise we put a bit of pressure on the knee, and then from there, while you're pushing down onto your thigh, then give a little bit extra sort of force and weight onto that ankle mobility. So not only is good ankle mobility sound for running gait, but also for your squat technique. If you have poor ankle mobility, very often what happens to your squat is you tend to be leaning over in the torso and not be able to get the depth that we're looking for in the squat. Next, we are going to do inchworms, which prep your entire posterior chain. After that, I'm going to show you one of the most effective stretches out there. So to start out, Nikita, stand on the edge of the mat, generally with your feet slightly together. You're going to touch the floor. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, you're welcome to, but try and keep your legs in that as straight a position as possible. From here, you're going to walk your hands out all the way until you are in a strong push-up position. Hold it there for a second. From there, you're then going to push the bum back into the air and walk your feet to your hands, keeping the legs as straight as possible for as long as you can. And then you can stand up, come to the end, and do it from the other side. Hands down, walk your hands out, strong push-up position, push the bum back into the air, walk your feet back to the hands, And there we go. And now for the final stretch. Introducing the world's greatest stretch, the perfect way to end your warm-up, leaving you primed and ready for your run. This exercise is actually called the world's greatest stretch. That isn't my name for it. And the reason is because it really hits so many different areas in quite a small movements. So Nikita, let's get into it. You are going to take a big lunging step forward. That's it. Bending that back leg, you're going to put your left hand in line with your right leg. Just drop slightly there, so bend that back leg a little bit. If your range of motion doesn't allow it, you can put that back leg on the ground. So put that down, there we go. You got good mobility, so lifting that up there. If your left hand is on the ground, your right elbow now goes to the inside of your right ankle. All right, you hold that there for 2 to 3 seconds. And then from there, we gently bring this elbow up, bring the wrist up, bring the hand up to the ceiling or the sky, and make sure your eyes follow so that you're not just sort of lifting the shoulder. We're making some good torso rotation there. Hold that for 2 to 3 seconds, go back down into the movement, elbow down to the inside of the ankle, and then gently reaching up, getting good torso rotation. I like to do 5 on each side, doing all of them on the one side and then all of them on the other. Let's just have a look from the front so I can show you some important things to consider. Lunging step forward, okay, down into that lunge. Make sure, so put your right hand out. You want to have a big enough gap here in the front. Okay, very important here though, is that when you go down into your ankle, you don't want to lean this leg open. So we're not leaning into it. We're also not leaning forward. Okay, you want to make sure that your heel is digging in the ground over here. So from the front, that's what that will look like. Trying to get this elbow as low as you can without leaning. There we go. So go as low as you can with good technique. And then from there, lift this hand up. Again, nice rotation. And here in that position, you don't want to let this drop out. We want to hold that nice and strong over there. Let's do another one just to show it again. Leaning into the heel. That's it. And then rotating up. Make sure your eyes follow your hand. That is really key. By doing this warm-up routine before every run, you will perform better because we are priming the muscles in the joints for running, all while allowing some stabilization as well. If you found this routine helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips to help you running strong and pain-free. And if you want more, be sure to check out this video where I show you 5 critical exercises for women over 45 to improve your running power.